Good afternoon. How are we all? Are you good? This is really good because we don't have to do, we might bring that mic down 30% if we can. We don't have to do a whole heap of stuff on keynoting, but it's a really nice little conversation to get more tactical and practical. So what you got to see earlier today was very much about like thinking about vision. So one of the things that I do with people is I get you to draw like a triangle, but I get you to put the big bit at the top and the pointy bit at the bottom. And I say, if you think about the top part of it, that's about what we're going to call visionary. And then when you move to the bottom, it's what we actually go to call tactical. And it's a really important conversation to think about, are you more visionary or are you more tactical? And if you're more visionary, you can connect with a lot of people. If you're really tactical, it's about a very specific thing. Now, to give you an idea, I spoke at a big conference in Australia once where we had 5,000 people there. And the guy before me was Chris Gardner. And if you don't know Chris Gardner, he was the guy that they made the movie The Pursuit of Happiness about. So everyone was there. They're crying, they're laughing. He's got a Hollywood movie. He's telling the whole story, being the single dad, bringing up his son, making it all happen. Like, it's a real tearjerker. And he was on for an hour. And I then came on directly after him for 15 minutes about how to get better fees in the lounge room. So let's just say that he nailed it and I tanked like there's no tomorrow. So this is an interesting conversation because this morning was more about the visionary stuff and now we're going to go and look at some of the tactical and practical. So I'll work through a couple of key slides and then if we've got time, I'll take a few questions and answers, to make it super simple and easy for you. The nice little conversation is to think about this. People are far too loyal to the distractions to ever achieve their potential. And if you think about it now, the modern usage is sitting at about somewhere between 6 to maybe 8 hours a day on a mobile device. And when you think about that, what are we doing? We're absorbed that every waking minute, and now people can't even walk around their house without watching a TikTok or some sort of YouTube short or an Instagram reel, and they're actually having this real problem to be able to go to connect. And so if you can see that behavior and you have the ability to see that and to know when you're in that mode, then how do I switch out of that mode? Because the power is actually the opposite of that. So the ability to be able to hold focus and just do one very specific thing. Now, what I've worked out is that literally the easiest way to do that, set a timer on your phone and say for the next 45 minutes, I'm only going to do this thing. And the best thing is we call that like batching. I might just respond to all emails for 45 minutes. Or I might be in a position I just do outgoing calls for 45 minutes. Or I'm in a position I'm just going to write that proposal or whatever it is for the next 45 minutes. But if you really focus on just getting that one thing done, and then you can go off and get distracted, but just get that thing done, it makes a huge difference in your overall momentum and success. So my lesson is a great little conversation. Where people get confused is they don't know what they want. Has anyone ever seen Simon Sinek's speech, Start With Why? Has anyone seen that? Yeah, so that was on YouTube. It was a massive hit. To me, it's actually one of the worst speeches I've ever seen. And a lot of people are like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, because people are thinking that somehow at 9:45 p.m. on a Tuesday night, you're going to be walking through Tesco and all of a sudden, the reason why you're living is going to hit you. And the conversation is, the idea is not bad, but the actual language is poor. And because people think that this why is going to be some area of motivation. What I'm going to say to you, the easiest way to discover what you're interested in, go to the phone, open up your photos section and have a look at all the things you take photos of. And whatever you take photos of is what you love to do. So if you take lots of photos of cooking, that's what you love to do. If you take lots of photos of scenery, that's what you love to do. If you take lots of photos of vintage motorcycles and classic cars, that's what you love to do. If you take lots of photos of your child, that's what you love to do. Does that make sense? Now, I'm not going to ask you to do that because some of you might not be happy with what's currently in your photo section. But as long as you're motivated, that's all that matters. Now, the basic foundational idea is that if you've got motivation, you don't have distraction. And the last thing that you want is your heart surgeon to be distracted. Does that like you want them to do the heart surgery? So when you're a great estate agent, you need to be able to channel that focus to really go and do the work. And what I'm going to say is that your calendar doesn't lie. So when you think about it, we used to call it a diary. In the more modern version on a phone now, we call it a calendar. Whatever happens in the calendar is what happens in your life. So if you want to be more successful, schedule more of what you actually want to see. Now, what you've got to realize is that sitting inside of the estate agency, and a lot of people are in very different roles here in the room, you actually should think about, are there certain things that happen every day? And are there very specific things that happen on certain days? So is there certain stuff I do on a Monday, like following up from viewings that might have happened over a weekend? Are there certain things that I might do on a Friday, for example, to reconfirm people that are going to viewings on the weekend? Does that, you know, so therefore, what you're trying to do is you say, okay, great, that's what happens on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then these are things that happen every day. Now, if you think about what actually runs a great business, and a good example of this is a restaurant, and if you've been to a good restaurant and you happen to turn up a bit earlier just before they open, what you'll see is that they're doing a staff briefing. So they're all standing around in a circle usually, and they're talking about what are the specials today, if they've got a special on maybe a cocktail or maybe a certain type of meal, and also too what's happening for that day. So there's a group of 10 people coming in and they're celebrating an anniversary. And what they do is a really good quality briefing. I don't understand why that doesn't happen in a modern estate agency business. So that at the start of every day, for a couple of key minutes, let's just do a quick briefing about what we might need to go. And that might be based on specialty or discipline. Notice I call them specialties and disciplines as opposed to, you know, departments or, you know, the sales thing or the lettings thing. I'm saying, so all of the lettings team get together, all the sales team get together, all the operational people get together. A quick 2 or 3 minutes. Hey, what's on today? You know, what's happened overnight that we're aware of? You know, what are we trying to get completed? What are the things that need to get done, you know, by the time the day finishes? And so if you think about that, your calendar tells me what you prioritize. And what I've worked out really quickly, if you want an appointment with me, the best thing without a doubt, send me a calendar invite. You send me a calendar invite, I accept it, it's in the calendar, I'm turning up, I'm committed to that. If I deny, then that means it's not. So what I want you to think about also to have a family calendar, if you don't already, so that naturally you don't miss your kids, school thing, or you don't miss what's going on. And if your partner sends you a calendar invite for date night, just click maybe to make it spicy. But that basic idea is to be a really interesting conversation to think differently about what you do. Now, what I want you to think about is to systemize everything that you do. So when people think about systems, you usually think electronic. The best systems usually are built initially with a pen and a piece of paper. And then over time, you then learn how to go to automate them. And what I mean by that is that the pen and paper is often best because it allows for flexibility to learn how to change a few things until you get it right. And then once it's right, then you can digitize it. And a lot of people go the other way. They try to use digital systems rather than actually just drawing it out on what it should look like. So systems are built in 4 specific areas. The first one is what we go to call a form. What's our favorite form to fill in? A sales advice. What's our favorite form to fill in? Holiday leave. What's our favorite form to fill in? I don't know, maybe something cool where you're actually going to get some cash. But the basic foundational idea, forms are really important because they capture information. What a form can do is it can guide a conversation. And when you think about a guided conversation, that can lead towards a very specific outcome. So you're finding out what you need to find out. Like if you did sell, why would you? Oh, we're having a baby. Oh, congratulations. Is it yours? No. When's the baby due is what you actually ask. So forms are good like that. The second way you build a business is think about checklists. A checklist makes sure that you've got a set of things that actually go in a very specific order. The reason why you want a checklist, you want to make sure that everything actually happens. So before I pack my suitcase leaving Australia, blue suit, white shirt, got a belt, got my suit pants, made sure that I've got everything that I needed, make sure I've got my shoes. That's a checklist, followed in order. And the basic foundational idea is that checklists allow you to not have to worry. What actually happens inside of an airline, and there's a fascinating book that some of you may have read called Checklist Manifesto by Atul Gawande, is he says the most important foundational idea is that you have actually got everything in order. The last thing that you want to do is to jump on your plane. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're flying over to Glasgow on our Ryanair flight. Oh, by the way, just had a quick look at a few things and noticed we didn't put any fuel in the plane. Like that would be expected with Ryanair, but the basic foundational idea is to try to get you to think very differently, that checklists are there to prevent preventable errors. So when you think about preventable errors, can we make sure that we've got things in the right area? So forms, checklists. Next one, visuals. A visual, and a great story we said today was about brand visual, wasn't it? Like high sale price, lower sale price, number of customers that we serve. If you had a visual about your brand, and not for Instagram, but a visual that let anyone be able to go and tell the story about the brand, that would be really useful internally. So that's a good example of a visual. And then the last one after that is then a dialogue. I'm not sure if you've been to McDonald's, you probably have. Globally at McDonald's, what they say is, welcome to McDonald's, may I take your order, please? They don't say, oh, hey, welcome to Macca's, want some chippies? Like that. So they've got a very specific dialogue because they know at Macca's, they're not there to ask you how they are. They know that you've walked in with intent to come and buy burger, fries, whatever it is that you're there for. So they actually understand that actually don't waste time, be highly efficient, still deliver it, but do it in a way that actually gets a result. So when you're thinking about systemization, every single time you're not getting what you want in life, it's either a system or a person. Every single time something's not going well in the business, or there's an error, or there's a sale falling over, or something's not happening the way that it should, invariably it will be a form, a checklist, a visual, or a dialogue that either needs to be updated or isn't being used. And so that's the most important part, because if the best don't use it, the rest won't either. So it's really important that literally as a business leader that you do use those tools, so then everyone wants to follow what it is that you do. And so that's about the systemization of everything that you do. Get clear on what success looks like inside of your role. And I know that's a really interesting question. If you don't know the answer to that, please speak to your manager or your business owner and say, hey, what does success really look like in my role? And this is an important conversation, because is it the number of viewings, or is it the number of deals agreed? Is it the number of deals agreed, or is it the number of deals that complete? So get really clear, because sometimes people are chasing way too many numbers and they don't really know what's actually happening. Now, a great example of this, if you are driving along the road and all of a sudden you see the police behind you, what do you do next? Now, this is a very interesting set of answers. Now, when I was in New Zealand 2 weeks ago, they said, what we do is we put the windows down and we throw everything out. I'm like, I don't know what they're doing in New Zealand. But the basic foundational idea is that what I do is that I look at the speedo, I see if I'm a mile or two above where I should be. I then adjust, foot off accelerator, lightly apply brake, maybe hit cruise control or park brake if I don't want the brake lights to come on. But like that, so I do things to avoid detection. But what your car's really good at is that then if you're running out of fuel, what will happen is a little orange light will come on and you now know that you're running out of fuel. So you now will adjust your behavior. What they don't do is they don't show you 5,000 numbers. They just show you the number that's important. And that's what you've got to start to think about. So I'm going to say this to you. I don't look much at the financials in my business at all in any way. But I do look at one thing that's my forward indicator. And my forward indicator is my calendar full? If my calendar's full, the business is doing really well. If the calendar's not full, the business is not doing well. Does that make sense? There will be nothing worse than a sales coach who can't sell their own time. So therefore, that's why you've got to get really good to know what's your forward indicator. For most people in different roles, in lettings, in sales, it might be the number of viewings that I'm doing. And then am I getting an offer, or are we getting to agreement, or are we putting the deal together? You know, depending on your role. If you're a valuer, it might be the number of vals that I'm doing that are actually turning into signed agreements. But you need to know what success looks like in your role. So if you are unclear about that, get really clear about that. And what I want you to think about is that what we're going to call the power of influence. Now, when I go to have a look at influencing, these are all the different tools that you can use. So I'm here today with you face to face. I could have also done something over like a FaceTime or a Zoom. Off the back of that, so we could have also had a phone conversation. I could be in a position that maybe I just send you a voice note, really big in Dubai. Habibi, they love it. It's amazing. Sometimes it might just be an SMS, or sometimes it might be an email. The greatest challenge that I've got in businesses today is that I might be working inside of a team, and I've got Ian here. I say, oh, hey, Ian, can I just get you just to call Jessica and just see where she's at on that? And I come back a couple of days later, oh, Ian, by the way, how'd you go with Jessica? Oh, yeah, no, I emailed her. To which I say, but I wasn't aware that it was a choose your own adventure. The reason that I wanted you to call was because I wanted what? Live feedback to actually find out why they're not proceeding or what's actually going on as a part of that foundational conversation. So what I'm going to say to you, the bottom couple, in particular SMS and email, is 100% used for reminders and summaries after a conversation. So think about that. So summaries after a conversation and reminders. And the interesting foundational idea about why that's such important is because they're usually only one way and you don't necessarily get a two-way. And some of you are like, yeah, but then I can put it on WhatsApp and I can see if the blue ticks come on. Okay, stalker. That basic idea is to get yourself in a position. If you want to make a lot of money, stay in the top 3. So if you start thinking more face-to-face, ideally more phone work, and I know some of you find FaceTime weird, but my mum does it. She's 73. My niece is 6. So you just got to get with the program. And some people are like, but Josh, I look ugly on video. Well, it's no different in real life. But the basic foundational idea is you can use a filter. But it's to start to think very differently about what you're doing. But and I will say this to you. If you want to make millions, stay face-to-face and stay on the phone. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't use the other tools. They're a part of your communication metrics. But my dominance is I'd rather pick up the phone. I've often responded to an email by ringing rather than actually sending a reply. I've often responded to an SMS rather than responding to SMS with a phone call, because actually I know that I can do a lot more in a much shorter period of time. So learn how to actually go. And it's a bit converse to what a lot of other people actually think. Now, why this is important is that what you want to do is you want to build a formula for what actually happens in your business on how you go to generate your leads. Because if you're really confident about what you do and when you do it, you will go to do more of it. And so this is the interesting foundational idea. Do you think that I could deliver today's presentation without having a PowerPoint show every day of the week? I'm not worried about it. Why? Because I know what I'm going to speak about and where it's going to land. The same should be for you. So whether or not you're calling buyers, or whether or not you're calling sellers, or whether or not you're calling tenants, or whether or not you're calling landlords, or whether or not you're calling clients, the most important foundational idea is that know what actually makes your business successful. If you don't know that, go and ask your superior. So, hey, Mark, good to see you. Quick question. I'm working the lettings team. I don't know how to go to find applicants. How could I find some good people, and how could I get them to apply? Well, this is what you do, and this is how you do it. And you take 20 or 30 years worth of experience, and you distill it down into 1 or 2 minutes of, okay, great. And the moment that that light bulb goes on, life becomes awesome, because you're not like, and you know when you hear someone say, I'm bored, the reason that they're saying they're bored is they've not yet found something that stimulates them. That they haven't yet learned that they've got to literally fall in love with something and become really passionate about it. Can you tell if someone loves what they do? Yes or no? I'll try that again. Can you tell if someone loves what they do? Yes or no? Yeah, okay, right. Do you reckon I love what I do? Yeah, how do you know? I came 2 weeks early just to make sure I didn't get caught at the airport. Does that make sense? And this is a really important foundational idea, that proper preparation prevents poor performance. Now, if you think a bit about that, one of the key things that we've actually got, and we're going to see some data experts shortly, and the whole conversation is about understanding that use triggers to drive workflow. And what I mean by a trigger is that if you hear about a listing, or if you hear about a sale, or if you've just let a property, or something's just happened in a street or a building, who else needs to know about that? And that's the easiest way to actually think about it, because the thing that a lot of people forget, what drives a relationship is a high level of relevance. So if I can be super relevant to you, that's actually okay. If I'm not relevant to you, don't keep trying to push hard because you're not relevant to the client. So that's why it's a really important foundational idea. Hey, Katie, it's Josh. I thought I'd give you a quick call. We've got another one that's coming up in your building. Thought you might want to know. You might want to add it to your portfolio. Not a hard call to make. Really easy. Speaking to an existing owner/landlord, they might make the decision to buy another one, add it to their portfolio, and then they pick up another piece of business that they can also let out as well. That's the basics of what business is all about, just learning how to be super relevant. And the whole idea is that what you've got to realize is that you have to improve your dialogue. And there's an old school saying that if you wouldn't buy from you, don't expect someone else to buy from you. So okay, great. So record yourself and play it back. And some people are horrified by that notion. Oh, I don't want to have to watch myself. I'm terrible. Well, don't expect someone else to do it either. So from that point of view, learn how to be good. And that's about what's the dialogue that I use. And most people use multiple questions rather than just one. How can I help? No, oh, how can I help? And by the way, you're thinking of buying and selling. And by the way, I saw that you're on our database. And they're rolling out like a machine gun, a whole heap of questions, but they don't give the other person any time to actually respond. One of my favorite questions of all time is when someone asks you, how are you? And what I want you to do, and particularly if you don't know them, I want you to give a really odd answer. Oh, how are you? Oh, not that good. Oh, great. Well, look, anyway. And it's amazing because they don't even listen to what it is that you've actually said. And so stop asking questions unless you've actually got the depth of relationship that they would actually give you that response. So that's a really important foundational idea. And when you think about it, every phone call follows a very simple structure. And you've got an opener, you've got a body, you've got a closer, right? So you start thinking about that. What am I going to do in the course of the first 15 seconds? What am I actually going to go and say to someone? And then this is really easy because if you get a phone number on your phone and you don't know it and you decide to answer, what are the things you think about? Who's ringing? Why are they calling? What does it have to do with me? Hi, my name is Josh. The reason for my call is, I believe that you're the owner of number 10. We've actually just got number 12 that's coming to market. Would it be okay if I let you know when it leases or when it sells and what it makes? So just really thinking about very clear structure. And this is the basic idea, is that every single phone call is about 3 very specific things. So what do I actually want this person to know? This one's just come to market. This has actually just happened. This is a result that's just happened in the area. What do I actually want someone to feel? like emotionally, oh, geez, that's an opportunity for me. Or, hey, cool, let me know what it makes, because then I might let you let mine out. So you start having that conversation. And then what do I want them to do? Hey, by the way, if there's someone left over, you can show them through mine. And so what you're doing here is you're getting really, really clear about that. And then in every phone call, you're doing one of two things. You're actually in a position that you're going to get permission to build relationship. Hey, would it be okay if I let you know when that happens? So that's getting permission to ring back. And then the next conversation is, oh, and hey, by the way, this happened. What does that mean yours is worth? Like, we've got 2 bars left over. We've got 2 tenants left over. Would you be against me bringing them through? Like if they paid a really good price, I wouldn't be against it. Okay, great. Well, then would you be for it, right? And so what I'm getting you to think about is using different language in the way that you actually go to converse. And why that's an important conversation is I think about this all the time. Hey, would it be okay if I let you know when it sells and what it makes? Would it be okay? Try and say no to that without sounding like a jerk. Would it be okay? No, it would not be okay. Okay, great. No problem. Stay close to that one. They'll be having a divorce shortly with an attitude like that. But that's what you've got to do. Learn how to use language where it's really easy to say yes and it's actually really hard to say no. And that's where the skill set is. So if you say the wrong thing, you upset people. I was in New Zealand 2 weeks ago and we went out to a restaurant. And when we went to the restaurant, it was myself and one of my clients, Blair. And when we went there, the waiter said, oh, hello, welcome. You're here for your 6 o'clock booking. Just so you know, we've got someone else who needs the table at 8 o'clock. And so I said, okay, great. And Blair and I looked at each other and we thought, we are going to have fun with this tonight. So the guy came over and he said, oh, what drinks would you like? And we ordered our drinks. And we said, oh, but by the way, could you hurry with the drinks? Because there needs to be someone for the table here at 8 o'clock. And they go, okay. And then we ordered our mains. But could you hurry with the mains? Because there's going to be someone here at 8 o'clock. So we need to get our mains quite quickly because we're eating fast. And so we transferred the implied stress that he put on us onto him. And it was amazing. And at the end of the dinner, he walked up and he said, thanks for the lesson. I'll never do it ever again. You have been the most stressful table to serve that I've had all night. And I said to him, well, mate, like you did it to us, so we just did it back. And he goes, and it's bloody awful, isn't it? And so that's where you've got to be. And it's a different way of doing it, isn't it? Make sure the service is so good that naturally they're gone by 8 anyway, but they got everything that they wanted. So that's a really important foundational idea. So you start thinking about what it is that you do. Hey, if it's sold for X, and that's if you find out, or if you've just done a transaction, or it let for X, whatever the number might be, if you're allowed to disclose. Hey, what does that mean your place is worth? So what does it mean? So what does it mean? Oh, I don't know. Would you like to know, Joe? Oh, we're not selling, no problems. Well, I'll pop down, give you an idea, let you work out the numbers. So be super relaxed. And this is why the whole conversation is that some of you use language which is triggering. And I think that one of the languages that's interesting in the UK is valuation. It seems really formal. Now, to give you an idea, if I went up to any of the ladies in the room and I said to you, okay, great, I'm just going to ask you a really simple thing. If I said to you, okay, great, would you like to go out on a date with me? What immediately conjures up in your mind? Who? And, no, that's not true. Very clever, yeah. But the basic idea would be what? Like where and when, and it's dangerous, and should I let my friends know? And do I like this person? Are they creepy? Is this a thing? Right? So the word date conjures up a whole series of risk. And then what do I wear, and where are we going? And is it at night time? Is it a date? Right? So watch the alternate version. Hey, you know what? It'd be cool to catch up. You know what? We should do a lunch or a quick coffee sometime. And you watch what actually happens when now there's instantly relaxed, because that doesn't feel like there's a whole set of, you don't need to write that down. That's not a part of the session. But that's a really foundational idea about what it is that we do. And so what I'm trying to get you to think about, hey, look, we had X buyers who missed out. Any chance we're getting them through your place? Now, I just love that language, like any chance. Hey, any chance? Hey, what would it take? Would you let me go and do that for you? And so if you can do those things, it will really get it right. And that's about really understanding that, marketing is important because it really does go to build profile. Last couple little things as I finish in this little session is I'd say, most important thing is remember you set the vision. Too many people in life are waiting for permission. They're waiting for someone else to give them permission to have a go. And one of the best things that I've learned is that don't be in a position you have to go and seek out permission. Just have a go. And if you did the wrong thing, ask for forgiveness. But the basic idea, if you don't ask, you don't get. And that's really important, is that, don't be too good to make money. Do some of the smaller jobs. What you'll learn in terms of tactical experience and relationships is absolutely awesome for later on inside of your career. And sometimes people want to progress too fast before they've built the transactional knowledge that they can gain in other parts of the business. Hey, what would it be like to be one of your customers? I just dare you to add yourself to your database and see what happens. And some of you will feel like you're in a witness protection program, and some of you will actually feel like you're like literally on, like, you need to be added to the do not call register. Like this, it's too much. And so it's really important to go to determine that. What I'd say to you, your skill is actually, what would it take to really master this skill? Getting to a level of mastery where, like, literally I fall in love with it and days can pass by because I'm just so enamored about actually doing that particular thing of making calls or getting in front of clients or doing the world's best viewings. And that's really interesting. Last little model, what I do with people is I say, hey, first of all, you got to have commitment to be really good. I've committed that I want to become the best in the world at what I do. When you commit to doing something, you got to have courage. Oh, geez, I don't know how to do that. How do you do that? What does it look like? When do I add it to reap it? When does that happen? Like, I don't know. Tell me about that. What do I do with that? And after you've got that courage, you then start to say, okay, great. Well, instead now, how do I go to build capabilities? Oh, you mean you do that and then that happens? Okay, great. And then when you fill that form out, that happens. Okay, great. And then once you do that, then that happens. And now you can explain workflow. And once you know what you're doing, you actually get to a point that you've actually got what we go to call confidence. And that's where I think that the big conversation is: get the commitment, build the courage, build capabilities, and get yourself in a position that you've got a ton of confidence. More viewing more often is the most important foundational idea. I've never met someone who meets with people that doesn't make money. Unless you're a massive dud, like, get in front of more people more often. Really important foundational ideas: smile, transfer energy, make people feel great, turn up early, dress well, like all of the basics as a part of that. Remove friction as a part of that conversation. Make it effortless for someone to come and deal with you. And ultimately, if you show me your calendar, it shows me how you're going to spend your time. If you go and show me your bank account, it shows me where you spend your money. And if you show me your mobile phone, it shows me who you actually interact with. And that's a really important foundational idea, that literally there's lots of behaviors and patterns that I can learn about you if I saw those three things. And so that's really the important part. I'll finish with this today. Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up. It knows it must outrun the fastest lion or it will be killed. Every morning in Africa, a lion wakes up. It knows it must run faster than the slowest gazelle or it will starve. It doesn't matter whether or not you're a lion or a gazelle. When the sun comes up, you better be running. And I think it's a really good foundation that life is short. And if you want what you want, you got to get out there and you got to have a massive go.